Hello again, friends, and welcome back to Doing the Ditch podcast presented by Water and Media. As always, I'm Grady Edwards, joined by the now famous, if he wasn't famous before, you're famous now, Captain Greg Parker. Captain Greg, we appreciate you tuning in with us and calling in with us. Know you had another long and somewhat trying day today as part of your journey, but we want to catch in because we missed yesterday with you. We want to make sure that we get a recap of the last 2 days. So tell us where you've been and if anything interesting happened along last 2 days.
Grady, I will. And last night missing that was entirely my fault. I have to be honest with you. It's kind of caught up with us. Fighting the weather, fighting the water. It's been kind of uphill the last 2 or 3 days. And last night, I have to be perfectly honest with you, and with anybody listening, we had all we wanted. We got in kind of late because of some storms, and we just had to cash it in. So my apologies, Grady, for not getting in touch with you, man. But it's been tough out there. But we left Fernandina Beach, and man, it was good. It was what you would want to call a bluebird day, and we almost call it uneventful getting to St. Augustine, and we got to the concourse. We took on fuel, and we were sitting there waiting to pay for the fuel, and Jeff was looking at the radar, and he said, man, it's going to come unglued around this place around 2 o'clock. Well, it was like 12:45 at that point. So we were talking about how we wanted to handle the situation and where we're going to move our foul weather gear, to get easy access, and started stowing things on the boat that we had it pulled out because the weather was so good. So we started preparing the boat, and Grady didn't make it that long. It made it to like 1:15, and we got under the Bridge of Lions in St. Aug, and about 1:15, the hinges came off this thing, but we fought it literally all day. The water was pretty. The wind and the water were kind of fighting each other, which made us having to fight. But the rain and whatnot that was coming across the state, you could just watch it training from coming like a southwest northeast, and it just peppered us for a right good while. And as we were getting to Daytona, we were literally a mile and a half, because there was actually a sign on the bridge that said Halifax Harbor Marina. That's how we knew we were that close. It was so bad we couldn't even watch the GPS. We just knew what marker we had to hang a hard right to get into the marina. But we were literally a mile and a half, and it started lightning. It was, honest to goodness, severe lightning. But there we were. We're on a low-profile boat. We felt relatively cool about it. Nothing to draw, a lightning strike versus a sport fisherman or a sailboat mast. But regardless, we're open targets out there. But anyway, we limped in, and we slid it right up on the fuel dock and ran into the marina to the ship store, and we sat there and just watched it storm. And we were really late. We couldn't take on fuel. You obviously can't pump fuel with lightning striking. So we got it tied up, and we got back on. So we had a late start today, and we had a lot of stuff on the boat that we had to dry, take to the hotel, and make arrangements to get that back in some order. But today we had another good morning. We started hitting the long no wake zones today, leaving Daytona, and that held us up a little bit. But as we kept going, we started hitting, and if you look at the map, you'll see that the wide bodies of water coming into Melbourne, Cocoa, Cape Canaveral area, they're wide bodies of water, Grady, but they're shallow. And everything we looked at today, early this morning, we had 3 sites we go to. Nothing predicted a wind worse than the southwest at 9. Grady, I'm telling you, I will eat this telephone if it was not 20 to 25. And those wide bodies of water are susceptible to that kind of wind, and being shallow, it was a very, very lumpy ride, and it was so hot you couldn't put the foul weather gear on. So we really just started taking it right in the teeth. Mosquito Lagoon was bad, and the Indian River. I don't know what upset the Indian River, but something really got under its skin today. It was as bad as I've ever seen it, as many times as I've transitioned through it. Honest to goodness, Jeff even commented. He said, I've never seen this stretch in any worse conditions. But, man, we got to Vero late, and real late, actually. We had to phone the marina, and they assigned us a spot. And when we got there, it was like a ghost town. But we got to the hotel about 7:30. We've done some laundry, and we're getting ready to call it a day once again. But she was tough out there, buddy.
Yeah, I can imagine, and I kind of feel your assessment. And like I said, I when you're boating, I don't think people realize sometimes if they're new to boating, how much boating can. I don't care what type of boating you're doing, if it's inshore, offshore, lake, whatever. If you're out in a boat all day, it takes a lot out of you physically. So how are you keeping up, and mentally? I would even argue, maybe more so mentally than physically sometimes. But how are you holding out endurance? Because we're already at this is our 10th podcast, so it's got to be close to the 10th day that you've been doing this journey. How are you and Captain Jeff holding up endurance wise, and what are some of the things that you're trying to utilize to kind of stay engaged and focused and strong?
Grady, to be perfectly honest with you, like I said, we missed last night's podcast simply because of fatigue. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Nobody on this boat we don't have to prove a thing. We really don't. This is not a He-Man contest, and we're very quick. Because of the years we've done it, the experience we have, we're very quick to tell each other, hey man, look, I'm not quite as sharp right at this point as I want to be. And I made no bones about it. I told Jeff yesterday, I said, Jeff, you're going to have to take the helm for about 15 minutes and let me literally gather myself, because I admitted, and to your point, physically, yes, I will say our ankles have stayed swollen from the standing and the beating. Our knees, we were commenting at dinner how bad our knees are starting to hurt because of today. But, I mean, you keep in mind, this is a flat bottom skiff. There is no point of entry like a traditional V-hull. So I'm going to use the term busting water or plowing water. And, I mean, it does add a different element to the physicality of what you're experiencing. But the mental part of staying focused, watching, because it is low profile, you don't want to bury the nose. You don't want to pitch pole the boat. You don't want something over the stern. It's a constant updating of your mental state. And you can get so focused on what you're doing, you don't even hear the engine. And that happened to me about 3 times a day. I mean, I was not even cognizant of the fact that the engine was running. And I looked down and we're turning up 3,800. But Jeff said yesterday, he said, man, he slid over. He said, look, he said, take it for a minute. I've got to sit down. So it's a beating in a situation like this. But again, we're not trying to prove anything. We're safety is paramount, and we're not going to sacrifice ourselves or the boat or anything to keep a schedule. I mean, that's the worst thing you can do is set a schedule on a boat trip, because that's when someone gets hurt. But no, it'll take it out of you. And to your point again, being in the sun all day, or being just trying to maintain your balance if you're offshore where it's a constant rolling. And with you doing your podcast and working with a tuna fisherman out of Wanchese, you've been offshore so many times now, you understand the rolling. And literally tonight, I jumped in the shower. The moment I closed my eyes, I felt the shower move. Well, that's not uncommon. Once you've been on it long enough, and your body gets that accustomed. But it's a physical toll, and I'll be the first one to stand up and admit it's hit. It hit last night. We got through. We had a good day up to a point today, and tomorrow we'll get to Lauderdale, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel from a physical standpoint, but it can take a toll. There's no question, Grady.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm to your point. I consider myself fairly, active, fairly fit, fairly good when it comes to rough seas, and there are times, like I said, even inshore, where you gotta, and that's again back to your point about having someone on the boat that you trust. Sometimes you gotta pause, take a break, regroup. Especially if you're out there for an extended period of time. So kudos to you guys for having that relationship and being able to kind of rely on each other. You kind of mentioned it a little bit just a second ago about Fort Lauderdale, I believe. So tell us, kind of fill us in about where you're going tomorrow, and how many days do you anticipate until reaching your final destination of Miami?
Grady, we with all luck, everything on our side, we should arrive Lauderdale tomorrow. And I can't quote the mileage. It's 117 miles or something maybe. But we'll leave Vero as early as we can. We didn't take on fuel tonight, obviously. Like I said, the marina was closed, so we'll have to take that. We'll get a late jump again. But when we get there, this family had contacted us through the Whole Truth website. Very first post I put out there and announced this thing. This family contacted us, and they've offered their home, their vehicle, their dock, and they've been in constant contact. This guy's a long time ICW cruiser. He's given us tips on both land and sea. To what to look for. He's been extremely helpful, honest to goodness. And we're very anxious to get to his place tomorrow to meet he and his wife. And he tells me his daughter is down from Boston, so we'll get a chance to meet some of his family as well. So that'll put us tomorrow being Sunday. And then Monday we're going to run to Miami. We're going to double back to his dock in Lauderdale. And then the transport company is going to meet us, and we could get on the trailer late Monday afternoon, or it very well could be Tuesday, early mid-morning. And then Adventure 2 is going to make our way home, and we're going to follow as best we can.
Awesome. Well, that sounds great, Greg. And like I said, we'll be with you every step of the way. Here's hoping for good weather tomorrow and safe travels. And like I said, we will be right back with you tomorrow for our daily podcast. So for Captain Greg, my name again is Grady Edwards of Waterman Media, encouraging you to follow us at www.doingtheditch.com. It's not too late. There's still a lot of the trip to see, still a lot of the ICW to see. Follow along with Captain Greg and Captain Jaff. Interact with us, ask us questions, leave comments, and like I said, we'd love to maybe even hook up with you somewhere along the ICW. So again, I'm Grady Edwards for Waterman Media, sincerely thanking you for tuning in to Doing the Ditch podcast, and leaving you with this: don't wait to live, reach out and grab it all.